What's happening, everybody? Happy Sunday. This is your main man, Frank Kern, coming to you. Before we get started, listen, we're going to talk about advertising, specifically advertising stuff on social media. And if during this conversation you're like, man, I kind of want that dude to run my ad campaigns for me, go to kernbranding.com. I created a little letter there. It's not too long. Wrote it myself. If you like what you see, fill in the little form on that letter and we'll set up a time to talk. Now, the name of today's broadcast is how to sell retail stuff on social media. So the question becomes, how do you sell, everyone knows, how to promote webinars and coaching and consulting and e-commerce and things like that. But what if you've got a real business? Well, I'll tell you a little story. So a private client of mine is this fellow named John, super cool guy, got a multiple nine-figure business selling wholesale mobile phone stuff all around the world. And that's actually not what I help him with. He's an advisory client in my private client group. And just kind of for fun and clearly for profit, the dude went out with some friends and they bought BC Rich guitars. You guys remember BC Rich guitars, that brand? Some of you do, if you were into the heavier rock and roll or if you were a guitar player. Folks like the dude from Cannibal Corpse played one. Joe Perry from Aerosmith played one. Slash from Guns N' Roses played one, of course, along with a lot of other guitars. But this dude is cool, and I like him. And I was like, man, I also like guitars. I was like, I want to come up with a campaign to help this guy sell the ever-living crap out of some BC Rich guitars, because how cool is that? I mean, the dude owns BC Rich guitars. It's like a piece of rock and roll history. So even though he's not an agency client, he's still a private client. I'm like, I'm going to scheme up some stuff for this dude because I like him, like all my clients. So the challenge here is that a huge part of that business, like so many real businesses, is that BC Rich doesn't necessarily do a lot of direct-to-consumer sales. It's not technically you could go to their website and buy stuff, but a lot of their stuff is sold through distribution, meaning Guitar Center or whatever. So a kid in Des Moines decides he wants to play a BC Rich guitar, he's going to go down to the local Guitar Center and mess around with one of them and noodle on it and all this kind of stuff, and then maybe he'll buy one. So the challenge becomes, how do we make all the kids in Des Moines and every other major city in the world want to go down to their local guitar store and start buying BC Rich guitars, right? And specifically, how do you do something like that on social media? So I started thinking about it, and I came up with a scheme. We haven't tested this scheme because I haven't even talked to my client about it. I'm telling you about it first, really. But I think this is going to work. This is pretty cool. So with any luck, let's see if this works here. I wonder if you guys can see my computer screen here. I'm going to remove myself. Oh man, it removed my audio. Sorry, y'all. Dang. Said it removed my audio. Okay. So let's try that sucker one more time. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is show you my screen here. So here's the scheme, all right, in terms of how to sell retail stuff on social media. So what we want to do, I'm using an app called Lucid Chart to do this. What we want to do is we want to say, okay, let's use Guitar Center as the retail distribution point for BC Rich guitars. I'm just kind of assuming. Let's say we go out and we're like, okay, let's target California to start. Let's say we want to increase the amount of BC Rich guitars that are going to be sold in the guitar centers of California. So a pretty simple strategy is going to be this. First of all, we find out where the Guitar Center is, right? Like the local Guitar Center. So here we have it on a map, local Guitar Center. Then what we're going to do is, let's see if I can make this actually look cool, is we're going to come over here and we're going to start targeting everybody who lives within, let's say, I don't know, a 10-mile radius of this Guitar Center with ads, right? And we're not going to target everybody. We're probably going to target primarily dudes because BC Rich is a rock and roller, like kind of heavier guitar, and it's mostly kind of dudes play that kind of stuff, you know? So we're going to target dudes between the ages of, I don't know, 18 and let's say 30. Arbitrarily kind of picking that out of the air. And we're going to target everybody. Oh man, the sun just is blaring right there in my eyes. Good Lord. We're going to target everybody that fits that demographic that lives around the Guitar Center here. So this bigger circle represents a 10-mile radius. And let's say this is the one in Los Angeles. All right. And we're going to do the same process for Los Angeles, San Diego, San Francisco, whatever other cities, you know, they may or may not happen to have Guitar Centers in. So the old way of doing this kind of thing is we'd say, okay, let's find all the dudes between, 25 or 18 and 30 or whatever who like heavy metal and like guitars and stuff like that. And then let's show them some ads and say, hey man, go to the guitar store and get a BC Rich guitar. That's the old way of doing it. Now with intent-based branding, there's a lot easier way to do this and a much more efficient way to do that. And what we do here is we take this group of people that just live around the Guitar Center, say 10, 15-mile radius, giant group of people, and we show them all videos, all right? And the videos are about BC Rich guitars. I even kind of came up with a little angle on this, which is rock and roll was built on BC Rich. And to a degree, that's in many ways, that's true. I don't know if you guys remember the movie Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, where Aerosmith was playing Come Together in that. But Joe Perry was playing a BC Rich in that movie. Pretty cool. CC from Poison played one. Like all these dudes played one. So the angle would be rock and roll was built on BC Rich guitars. And we would have all of these folks kind of playing BC Rich guitars on film or endorsing it or whatever. And here's what would happen. All right. And here's why this is doable today more than it would be doable at other times in history. Before I keep going on, let me make sure y'all can hear me, by the way. I think you can. Okay, cool. I'm back. All right. So I think you guys can hear me. You never know. All right. Oh, by the way, if you wanted me to run your campaigns for you, if you're like, damn, this guy knows what he's doing, go to kernbranding.com. If someone would type that in the comments for me, I sure would appreciate it. Kernbranding.com. We are taking new clients and written a little letter there, kind of tells you exactly what we can do for you. If you like what you see on the letter, then fill in the little form there and we'll set up a time to talk. Okay. So here we are back again. We're working, all right? So here's the way this campaign would be structured, all right? It would go like this. We got all these folks that live within X miles of every one of the Guitar Centers. Real easy to set that up. And we're going to show them videos where rock and roll was built on BC Rich guitars. And we're going to show like everybody around here that's a dude between the ages of 18 and let's say 30 years old. And then based on the way the intent-based branding methodology works, where are you? I need me a little decision diamond thing. Here we go. We're going to look and we're going to say, hey, do these guys engage in this content? Now, the way intent-based branding campaigns work is pretty cool. It's basically like we've turned these guys, our phones, into the television. And essentially what this first part of the campaign would be is we're going to be running TV-style commercials on social media, video ads that people are going to see on their phone. And the reason we're going to do that is because it's really freaking cheap. Okay, so to give you an example of how cheap it is, especially when you target a big group like this, and you're not trying to really niche it down. Right now, I'm targeting business owners, just generally, just like show ads to business owners in the United States, Canada, UK, and Australia. And my average video is like 6 minutes long, and people are watching the entire thing for just under 40 cents. It's like 34 cents. So it's not going to cost us a lot of money to show these dudes videos about BC Rich guitars. So if they watch even a little bit of this video, now we're going to put them in what's called a warm audience. Okay, so What happens in the warm audience is two things occur. Number one, we show them more video ads about how freaking cool BC Rich guitars are, right? So we might have one with Slash. We might have one with CC DeVille. We might have one with Joe Perry. We might have one with whoever else is involved in BC Rich, because I think they have a lot of newer musicians endorsing the guitars these days, which is really, really cool. So we'll continue on with this, hey, rock and roll was built on BC Rich thing. And then as the people begin watching these things, we will now start showing them classic ads that are going to tell them to go to their local Guitar Center. So what's going to happen here is the net effect of all of this, incidentally, even in the copy from these things, we're going to be telling all of these folks to go down, let's see if I can make this thing work here, to go down to their local Guitar Center and play a BC Rich. So every single one of these is going to be causing that to occur, right? And what's going to ultimately happen is we're going to get in front of hundreds of thousands of people for fractions of pennies on the dollar, all telling them about how cool BC Rich is. And the coolest part is that the ones who are going to get the most attention are the folks who are going to be watching these initial videos. So we're going to show like, hey, rock and roll was built on BC Rich videos to these people in the geographic area. If they watch it, we know they're probably interested in playing guitar and BC Rich stuff. And that's where these two groups here, that's where the majority of our ad spend is going to be, and the majority of our focus is going to be. See, in intent-based branding, essentially, it's like reversed from typical internet marketing that we've seen. Instead of like trying to factor and find a tiny little audience and then send them to an opt-in page and generate a lead, nobody wants to give you their email address anymore or anything like that. Now what we do is we target a really big, broad audience because it's so freaking cheap, and we let the content itself be the filter. See, if no one's going to watch this video here about BC Rich guitars, unless they're into guitar playing and stuff, right? Unless they're probably going to be a pretty good prospect for someone who's going to either now or eventually going to want to go and get themselves a new guitar. So the act of them watching a little bit of that video and engaging in that ad, that's technically, within the context of how this works, that's kind of like an opt-in. Because what happens is now we can retarget them and show them these additional ads and like say, hey, come down to the Guitar Center. And even Guitar Center at will, and I'm kind of pulling Guitar Center out of the air, I don't know who the distribution partner is going to be for this, but kind of makes sense it would be Guitar Centers, right? So we could even run ads saying, hey, we've got a demo day for BC Rich coming up this weekend or whatever. This exact same method, by the way, is how we're winning for a furniture store client right now. It's also how we're winning for a financial planner client. It's actually, this method's how we're winning for a lot of clients. If you want me and my team to run your ads for you and come up with creative ways to really build your brand and sell stuff at the same time, go to kernbranding.com. Again, you'll see a short little letter there that I wrote myself, pretty straightforward. Tells you how we might be able to help you. And if you like what you see, there's a form there on the bottom of the page. You can fill it in and we can set up a time to talk, and maybe we can work together if you want to. I would be delighted. Okay, now let's see. If that worked, that's a freaking miracle. I'm using a program called StreamYard, by the way. Now, okay, it should be just me here. Using a program called StreamYard to share my screen and everything is pretty cool. And this thing's pretty neat, man. It's apparently streaming simultaneously to Facebook and YouTube, which I think is really cool. So that's awesome. All right, I think that was just kind of a little thing I wanted to share with you. A little tactical idea. This will work for really anything where you're selling a product that's a lot of your sales are based on distribution. This will also work, let's say, if you were just the dude who owned Guitar Center and you just wanted people to come into the store and buy any type of musical instrument. You could create content about drums. You could create content about ukuleles. You could create content about guitars. If someone in the geographical area watches it, now they're in your warm audience. Now you're showing them stuff like, hey, come on down to, Demo Drum Tuesday or whatever. Probably call it something cool like Demolition Monday or whatever, and we smash the crap out of some drums and stuff. Anything you wanted to do. Strategy's working really, really well for a lot of clients. Again, if you want us, regardless of what industry you're in, we have clients in, mundane things like home services, furniture stores, financial planners, all the way up to your typical, marketing folks. So if you want me and my team to build your campaigns for you, do a really good job of it, go to kernbranding.com, check out the little letter there. and hope to talk to you soon. And you know what, guys? You know what tonight is, right? Game of Thrones. Y'all gonna watch it? We're gonna watch it, man. See, it's on when I'm on Eastern time. When's it come on? Like 8 o'clock or something like that. I'm stoked. I'm also kind of dreading it because you're gonna watch the first episode of the final season, and there's no way to watch the other 10 episodes in the season. So now we got to wait every week. But whatever. First world problems, right? Okay. Hope you guys have a great Sunday evening. Hope you found this helpful. And if you want me to build your campaigns for you, holler at me. KernBranding.com. Okay. Take it easy, everybody. Bye.